Hello and welcome to the MAC weather page for this Tuesday, April 4th. And the big story really is going to be the potential winter storm for at least parts of the MAC area. I think beginning very late Wednesday night into Thursday night. Most of the snow, if it falls, is going to be, I think, from the early morning hours on Thursday into Thursday afternoon. And there could be some areas that could see well over 6 inches of snow. Some areas maybe not so much. It's going to depend very much on the temperature profiles and the track of the storm, which right now has been very consistent on all the major models. So this storm has been seen and it's been handled well by the models all the way since last week when we talked about two systems that would bring some significant weather. The first one would be early in the week with rain, and then I said that we would see potentially a very interesting system towards the middle or end of the week. And again, there is a very real chance that we could see snow on the ground as we get into the day on Thursday. And you can see over the last 7 days, their 13 station average rainfall for the last 7 days, 1.64 inches, and the high spot Lansing at 2.05. And if we look at the headlines again, a late winter storm could bring heavy snow to the area as we get into the day on Thursday. And you can see over the 6 to 10 day outlook, very warm conditions. And again, we could see after this storm, we could go into the weekend around 60 on Saturday, well into the 60s to near 70 on Sunday, and maybe even around 70 to the low 70s on Monday, when thunderstorms may move back into the area. And again, we got a lot of precipitation coming up, not only with this storm for the Wednesday-Thursday period, but also maybe another one late weekend into early next week. If we look at the normals for the day, our normal high is 49, the normal low is 28. And if we look at the conditions around the U.S. yesterday, the warm spot, 96 degrees McAllen, Texas, and the cold spot, 5 degrees at Island Park, Idaho. Way to go, Idaho. And if we look at the weather map yesterday across the area, the warm spot up here in Breck, Kentucky at 56 degrees, and the cold spot 5 Celsius at St. Thomas. And again, most of the precipitation over the last 24 hours has been across the northwestern portions of the area, with Newaygo leading the way at 8/10 of an inch of rain, 3/4 of an inch of rain at both Breckenridge and Middleton. If we look at a breakdown over the last 7 days, you can see Jasper over the last 7 days, 2.28 inches, 2 inches or more at St. Thomas and Lansing, and short right behind it, Newaygo at 1.95. And again, you can see our station average over the last 7 days, 1.64. And this is something we'll show continuously through the growing season. And if we look at that in a graphical format, you can see how we fared out here over the last 7 days. And if we look at the weather map this morning, you can see temperatures mainly in the 40s to mid 50s, so very warm out there this morning. This area shaded in yellows, where I think there's a chance we could see winter storm watches. To me, it looks like probably the best area would be from around Kent County, Ionia, Clinton, and areas off to the north and northeast. Again, with I think the best potential, I think later this afternoon, if not this afternoon or early tomorrow morning, we could see winter storm watches issued. But again, much will depend on the temperature profiles. And I think if the 12Z run continues the very consistent model runs that we've seen so far the last several days with all the major models, I think we'll see those watches issued. And over the last 2 or 3 days, Mount Pleasant and Elma has been centered in a bullseye for some very heavy snow. And again, we'll see how that pans out. But the European, the Canadian, and the U.S. models are all on board with snow across the area. And if we look at the satellite view this morning, you can see some of the rain showers this morning should begin to lift up a little bit. We'll still have some scattered showers, but conditions should improve as we go through the afternoon. You can see some very powerful storms across areas of Florida, northern Florida, into Georgia. And then you can see our winter storm that's going to develop across the Four Corner states, going to move out into the plains and then up towards the north central Ohio area. And again, that should put us in pretty good prime spot for snow, as we'll have a very cold high pressure system for this time of the year setting just off to our north, bringing in that cold air as it phases together. And if we look at satellite, you can see some of that areas of showers this morning. Again, as it rotates, it should move off to the north. But again, scattered showers are possible into early afternoon anyways. And then we get a short break in the precipitation. And here's our next weather maker beginning to bring moisture out into the plains. And that'll be heading our way. Again, I think we'll start off as rain later on Wednesday, and then late Wednesday night, around midnight or after midnight, maybe a little before midnight, we start to see that change over to snow, and it could fall pretty heavily here during the Thursday morning hours into around noon. And by that time, there could be some pretty hefty snowfall totals. And again, the reason why I think it could accumulate is I think we're going to see some pretty intense snowfall rates during the height of the storm. And if we look at the weather map this morning, you can see that low pressure system that's pinwheeling that precipitation off to the north and to the northwest of us. And again, scattered showers into the area. Our storm center now getting itself starting to develop off into the southwest states. And again, as we move into the day on Wednesday, a large area of severe weather from the Ohio Valley all the way down to the Gulf states. And again, I'm really concerned about areas like Tennessee, parts of Kentucky into Alabama. Again, I think there could be some very, very deadly tornadoes once again as our severe weather very active season continues, and that's something we forecasted all the way back into early winter, that we would see a very active severe weather season this spring and this summer across the U.S. And by Thursday morning, that low pressure system now across central and northern Ohio moving off to the east-northeast. And again, I think we'll see more in the way of depiction of heavy snow. Don't see much on the WPC's forecast maps just yet, but we'll see how that pans out. As far as how much rainfall here over the next 7 days, you can see another batch of very heavy rainfall, not only with this late week system, but for another one as we get towards early next week, and that could bring some strong thunderstorms into the area again, as temperatures by Sunday and Monday could approach 70 degrees. So it's going to be just like late spring, early summer weather. It's going to feel that warm, especially after the snow on Thursday. And as far as some of the snowfall maps, the Canadian is probably the more diffuse, odd-looking one, with actually the lightest pocket of snow around the areas where I think this could be the heaviest amounts. And again, though, it shows many of the areas potentially seeing several inches of snow. And if we look at the, this is the WPC, the INSEP model, at the 75% level, showing a pretty broad area of accumulating snows across much of the area. As far as the GFS, at the midnight, you can see the 0Z run shows about 15 and 16 inches of snow at Elma and Mount Pleasant, off to the northeast, basically from Muskegon to Alpena, the bullseye, but even heavier snows across much of mid-Michigan, back towards Grand Rapids and Lansing. And as far as the 06Z, just a little bit smaller area, but more intense, 21 inches, 15 inches at Alma. Again, probably not likely this amount, but the idea is that accumulating snows and potentially winter storm watches are going to be required in some of those areas. If we look at the more trusted model, the Euro, you can see at 72 hours, it puts down about 2.1 to 2.3 inches of liquid equivalent precipitation. Again, much of it starting out as rain, but also puts down about 9 inches of snow across the area. And then look by the weekend, temperatures around 70 for Sunday and into Monday. So very warm recovery. That'll melt any snow that we do get. And as we look on now to Weather Watch, again, there's nothing out there other than some flood advisories, watches, warnings type statements. But this area where I've got circled here, I think this is the area I think we'll see the potential for some very significant snowfall. And I think at some place in this area, maybe a little north, maybe a little south, that we could see winter storm watches issued possibly as early as later this afternoon. I think we'll wait and see what the 12Z run shows, and then I think you'll see the National Weather Service issue some watches across maybe portions of eastern Wisconsin into central and mid-Michigan, north central Michigan, maybe even south central lower Michigan. So a very interesting storm coming up, well worth watching if you're going to be traveling. Thanks for stopping by, and have yourself a great day, and 73s to all.